You just don't like Kirk Cousins.
Was this the right move?
I think they've handled every part of this wrong. So now they're at a spot where it was $90 million for 14 games played and 7 wins.
Tough one.
And by the way, I know they tried to spin this yarn of when we signed him, we knew we might draft a quarterback. Well, then you don't give him a no trade. Like, I do not think Kirk Cousins was going to ultimately turn down your $90 million fully guaranteed.
That's wild.
4-year,
like,
180.
and the no trade.
Right, you know what I mean? It's like when it's almost like the OKC trade that netted them Shea when they got all those first-round picks for Paul George and I think like a 2029 second. It's like, really? Like that was going to scotch the deal, or you were like, no, I want that too, and you just gave it to him. And so now, Kirk, is he tradable? Probably not, but the answer is doesn't matter because he's just going to force their hand. Another $10 million gets guaranteed early in the offseason, so he'll just say, I reject every trade.
Right.
You have 4 days to cut me, and then he can go sign the Russell Wilson deal somewhere, right, with someone for $1 million. And now you are sneaky, maybe setting Penix up to succeed because you do have the Giants, Washington on national TV against another rookie, and then Carolina. But it's massive pressure because you are in the playoff race because of that. You're a game out of your division with the tiebreaker with Tampa. And narratively speaking, if you play Kirk the rest of the way and he turns it around, great. Then maybe you can trade him for something. If he plays poorly, okay, fine. Don't worry, guys. We have Penix there. You have now opened the potential avenue of Michael Penix, who might one day be awesome, struggling in his, I'm thrust into a playoff race at the end of a season, and now, with no time to redeem himself like like Bo Nix did, like Caleb did, and then Caleb went back down, like the ups and downs. And then all of a sudden in the offseason, your fans are like, Jesus, thought we had 2 quarterbacks. One guy's on the way out. The other guy didn't play well. So I just don't like any of it for the Falcons. I don't like any of it.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't have made this move. It's not going to kill me because obviously Cousins was playing so poorly. But I thought, like Nick, the fact that they're very much alive. Now, I think Tampa Bay will win that division, but they beat Tampa Bay twice.
Yes.
They're only a game back. They've got the tiebreaker. Washington will be a tough game, but
Giants, Carolina.
They got 3 winnable games and 2
You can
that
still
they
throw
definitely
on
should.
Washington, though.
Yeah,
It'll be on the
Washington,
Falcons defense,
I would think would
the passer
beat them,
rating
but
against those guys,
you got a chance to. Like you said, you got a chance to beat them. So that's why I'm surprised, and the money, because it is just embarrassing to have paid this guy $90 million for 14 games. I will throw this out. I agree with you. They've botched it completely, including no trade. But kind of like the Niners, maybe they get lucky and Penix is actually good. Like the Niners obviously got lucky. But still, if he's good, it doesn't matter where you picked him. Nobody expect him. I mean, I don't think we expect him to be a star. But what if he is really good?
I think they expected him to be a star.
Okay, so if he's really good, and I'm not saying he's going to be great right away, but if he ends up being really good, you can survive this. Like Bo Nix, nobody's killing Denver right now for Russell Wilson because, hey, Bo Nix looks like he'll be okay.
You can survive it, but it's just like with the Niners thing. These are independent transactions. The Purdy pick papered over the Trey Lance disaster. Yeah. But absent the Trey Lance disaster, maybe Brock Purdy won a Super Bowl last year because he had first-round pick, because you had Micah Parsons on the team instead of nothing. Even if Penix works out, what you are missing there is the $90 million worth of players that you otherwise could have had. Right. So, you know what I mean? So, again,
it's bad.
They're just independent things.
You just might survive it.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. There's a lot of things to talk about with that. They kind of brought up a few things. But first off, obviously the Atlanta Falcons think that Penix is going to be a star, is going to be great. Otherwise, they wouldn't have drafted him. They wouldn't have paid Kirk Cousins all that money to then only go and draft Penix. They saw Penix was available and said, we want this guy. We believe in him. So that's what they did. So what do you think? They drafted a first-round pick, a top draft pick, and used that capital after paying Kirk Cousins all that money because they thought that he was just going to be like an average quarterback? Like, what? That doesn't make sense. If you think he's just going to be an average quarterback, go out and get Gardner Minshew then. That doesn't make any sense. Zero. I don't know what Brew was talking about. Of course, there is an insane amount of belief, and as Dan Orlovsky has reported, the Falcons absolutely love him. That's number one. Number two, I totally am in agreement, though, with what Nick said. I'm not painting it as stark as he just did, but I made a video with the Herd talking about that. Essentially, like, this is a very intense situation to throw in a rookie quarterback. And you know that there is great chance that he's going to struggle and have some issues because that's what rookie quarterbacks do. And so now you're putting the pressure on him to be like, hey, we're in this playoff race. Can you get us over the finish line? And if you do struggle, then they're going to use that as kind of to weigh you down going into the offseason. Like that is a real thing. That it just is. And the question is, comparing it to, say, the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson and what happened with the 49ers, that doesn't really make sense because, first off, the 49ers were already having a bunch of those players, and of course that coach had already gone to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, already elevated a quarterback who's like good, obviously not great or elite, but like good, decent at times, and sometimes great, but very, sporadically. And so they already saw that they were able to elevate that and do that. Not to mention, you then had, the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. Like, that is a very, very, very established, top-level offensive head coach who knows what he's doing when it comes to quarterback. So you have that embedded into you that you can now move on from Russell Wilson and say, it's okay, we got this. And you know what? We're going to draft Bo Nix and we're going to make this work. There is so much more deeper levels of expertise in that series of events that you're just going to more likely have levels of success. Your chances of success are going to be increased. Think about how he moved on from Russell Wilson. I mean, like, that was a bold move to do. It makes it more possible for the Falcons to do this with Kirk Cousins, kind of because what they saw with Russell Wilson in a lot of way. And because people were kind of like, oh my God, how can you do this? And Sean Payton's like, we're doing it. I don't care. And he had to sell it to the GM, to ownership. And he's like, this is what we got to do, man. We're moving on from Russ. I can't win like this. We got to, this is the best I could do with this guy. This is the ceiling we have. I need to make moves. I know it's going to cost us money, but we got to do it. And that's the benefits of having such a strong and competent offensive-minded coach who has decades of experience. Now, I'm not going to say that the Falcons are this like poorly run, out of control franchise, but I'm just saying they don't have that depth of expertise. So you can't just like, you can't guarantee success as much as you could maybe in a different situation. But with that said, if Michael Penix is who he's supposed to be, well, then it's not hard to imagine that he could have strong levels of success early on. As long as, this is where you're going to try to find out how much do you trust the OC for the Falcons, actually. And how much has Kirk Cousins limited them? Because if you trust the OC from the Falcons, which he's obviously, up and coming, and we've only ever really been able to see him with Kirk Cousins at with the Falcons, obviously. This is where it's like, are they going to be able to put Penix in a situation to essentially manage these games, win these games, still show his own level of special and brilliance, but not rely on it so heavily? Pretty much exactly what Cliff Kingsbury did with Jaden Daniels. Pretty much the opposite of whatever the heck the Chicago Bears did with Caleb Williams. And kind of potentially like a hybrid. There's just not enough time to do what they did with Bo Nix and Denver Broncos. Bo Nix and Denver Broncos and Sean Payton, like, they really kind of did this combination where, like, they babied him, but also just let him rip. He, like, let him get all those interceptions out, let him make all those bad decisions, was like, I want you to kind of take some chances, but also we're not relying on you to, like, win these shootouts. And then as the season progressed, he then started to really put some responsibility on his plate. We saw that especially in the Kansas City Chiefs game. We saw that in the Browns game. Like, they took off the training wheels and was like, I trust you. I trust you to get the job done. But that was after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of playing. And again, now you look at what's happening with the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, and it's kind of like, I don't know what the heck you do in that situation at this point. Like, it's just no matter what decision you make, it's just a mess. And now Jaden Daniels, again, they kind of really had the training wheels on a little bit, but they were able to still kind of manage and win. And then little by little, they were like, hey, we're going to take the training wheels off. We're going to be smart. We're going to be strategic. And even when the training wheels are on, we're still going to allow you to, again, be your special, take your shots down the field, have you scramble, do some of those things, but it's still going to be contained in a lot of ways. We're still going to set you up with a lot of high percentage throws. We're going to do college style offense, which, is such a negative thing to hear. But it obviously worked well. So to me, the so much of the success of Penix is going to come down to, what is the approach? How do they actually game plan with Penix? Because he should obviously be able to beat the Giants. The Commanders should be, that should be a harder game to a degree. Right, I just looked that up. That is a primetime game, standalone game. So, that'll be a lot. And the reality is that the Commanders are going to be, they're going to be all in on that game because they're going to be competing for a playoff spot as well. And then you have the Panthers, and who knows that final game, what the story is for the Panthers, honestly. Who's playing? Are they shutting down any players? Do they actually just want to lose so they get draft capital? Who honestly really knows for those final games? Those games are always so much hit or miss. And for all we know, that the Falcons have already been eliminated at that point. They need the Bucs to obviously lose. But it's obviously in the realm of possibility, because if we look at the Bucs schedule, the Bucs play the Cowboys. That's definitely losable, considering how Cooper Rush has been playing. And the Panthers Buccaneers, again, the Panthers, I don't know. Are they good? Are they not good? Can they come away with some wins? They've been feisty, obviously, as of late, almost beating the Eagles, almost beating the Chiefs. They can cause some trouble. And then the Saints, again, they're also kind of all over the place as well, but hardly, I don't think you can really bank on the Saints spoiling the Buccaneers. So, yeah, right. I think the Bucs have to drop one game and the Falcons have to win out. If I'm memory serves me correctly. So it is there, but it is obviously tough. And if we think that the Falcons are a well-run organization, then the trust is that they believe and trust that Penix has been developed to a point where he's going to play and be successful, and any adversity that he may face, he is more than able to endure it. If you want to say that the Falcons are poorly run and they're doing a terrible job and Raheem Morris and all this type of stuff, then you would have to question, is this the right move? That's honestly what you kind of have to probably look at it through the lens first. Do you believe that the Falcons are a well-run organization? If they are, then you trust the decision. If you don't, then you can have hesitation. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about benching Kirk Cousins and starting Michael Penix Jr.? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.